And most people marry people who share the same interest with them, just to realize often they don't share the same values, and marriages will break because you should marry someone with values compatibility, not interest compatibility.
Yeah.
And that's what we are talking about today.
Yeah.
These 5 areas will fall under values. These are values.
Hi, everybody. Today we will discuss why compatibility is very important for a happy marriage. We'll talk about 5 compatibilities that couples should be aware of that affect their marriages.
Some compatibilities are more consequential than others. In fact, you can have all the best intentions in the world, but still face challenges in your marriage if you are not compatible.
The first one is physical compatibility. It's about the attraction between two people.
Yes. This is where we look at the physical appearance, because we believe physical appearance matters in marriage. We recommend that you try to find someone you're attracted to. And I know this mostly in the Christian community, you may say, no, looks don't matter. I think you should marry someone who is at least attractive to you. And beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So no one should tell you this person is beautiful. You should be the one to judge if the person is beautiful to you. If you are attracted to short people, I think it's unwise to try to marry a tall person, because you may end up your whole life being a little bit distracted. But I say distracted for the lack of a better word. By tall short people outside, like you will always maybe wish your spouse will shrink a little bit in marriage. Your spouse is the person you live with, or you spend most of the time together, and most of your time vulnerable, like the time that you are in your most vulnerable setting, you are with that person. You should be at least able to appreciate or to feel attracted.
For example, nowadays, people are dating online.
Yes.
And I don't know how that works. Because I've never seen how, like, you can have. I think
we
you have
did
a
not
profile.
date online, so
yes.
we don't have the experience.
Yeah,
the first-hand experience.
And when we dated, it was a long time ago. But now, and now
so
it's different.
You assume that we are old.
No, we're not old. It was just a long time ago. And so for someone like that, do you ask them, how tall are you? Do they ask each other how tall you are or something? If it's a big deal.
I think you should do something. I think even though it's online, you should make sure you see the photo of the person, or you meet the person before you commit. There's nothing wrong starting online, but marriage is about living together. So you have to meet at some point. And if you don't like what you see, it's okay to back off. We are not saying physical appearance is everything.
No.
That's not what we are saying.
No.
We're not saying it's everything. But it's not wise to commit in a relationship where physical appearance, you are not attracted to the person.
Yeah.
Online, you may start online, but people can fake online, or they can edit their photos and all that. So that is still, it's a good place to start, but you have to meet and fall in love with the person face to face. You need to love what you see live. We also yes.
Yeah. You recommend?
You recognize that things change. You may gain weight, you may lose weight, or things like that.
It's not even about losing weight or gaining weight.
That is fine.
In the next 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 years, you're not going to have your face is not going to look the same.
Exactly.
So that's not we're not saying this is like the main thing. We're saying it's important.
It's important
to be aware of that. Yeah. Do not let yourself be influenced.
Yes.
By other people.
No.
As to what is it that you think it's beautiful.
Yes.
So because nowadays there's a standard of beautiful that is out there. It's not necessarily what's beautiful.
No.
And I don't think everybody thinks it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But because it's out there, everybody wants to look like that.
Yes.
That's called beautiful. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about the person that you think is beautiful according to you.
Yes.
Not according to the media, not according to the whatever.
Yeah.
You think this person is beautiful and you are attracted to them. that's
marry
the
that
person
person
that you want to
Yes.
marry.
If
Yeah.
both of you are attracted to each other,
Yeah.
that is a very good place to start. That's a very good place to start in terms of compatibility. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, the second one is spiritual compatibility.
Yes. This one is also tricky because most people will get married and they overlook the spiritual side because they think they're attracted to each other. Spiritual compatibility is very, very crucial. Why? Because our faith informs our decisions. What we do is informed by what we believe. So you will see that Catholics have their own set of beliefs, or Muslims have their own set of beliefs, and Jews have their own. Even among Christians, we still have divisions. We still not. I don't want to call them differences. We still have different doctrines. You know, we may share the same dogma, but we still have different doctrines. Even in among Protestants, you still have Baptists, you still have Pentecostals, Charismatics.
There's so many.
All those differences.
Yeah.
I'm not saying which one is good, better than what. I'm just saying you need to talk about these things and be aware of that, because if you don't agree, if you don't share the same spiritual values, you may end up fighting later because one of you may be thinking doing, let's say, paying tithe, and another one doesn't agree in the theology of tithe, and people will, and the couples will fight because of that. So you have to make sure spiritually, your faith, you are marrying someone who at least most of the spiritual things you agree. Maybe you will never find someone you agree with 100%, but at least most of the things, mostly your dogma, and most of your...
What is dogma?
Dogma is your core belief that you can't compromise. That is dogma. Your core belief that we can't compromise.
Yeah.
For example, Jesus is God, is the Son of God. For example, the Trinity. For example, believing that Jesus, we are saved by faith. Those are dogmas for us. Those are things we can't change. We can't compromise. Everyone who doesn't believe those things, it's problematic for us. While doctrine is how we interpret the Bible. So now it comes down to speaking in tongues, for example. That is a doctrine. Like Pentecostal believe what, let's say, Anglicans don't believe in terms of doctrine. Or priests should marry or not. That is the doctrine.
Okay,
how
so
we read scripture. Opinions now is... just, should we have pews or chairs in the church?
What we're saying is you can have the same dogma? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, you can have the same dogma,
but not the same
doctrine.
Yes. And that's...
it can be problematic. Yes, it can be problematic. I can see people fighting around the theory of deliverance, the demonic possessions, for example, and the deliverance. I can see people fighting in terms of around the theory of speaking in tongues. People can fight around the theory of tithing. Those are doctrines. So you need to check with the person you are falling in love with if you agree on certain things that may cause trouble in the future, or at least you are aware of those differences. And if you're going to allow each one to grow independently from each other in those areas.
Yeah.
So one can continue to pay their tithe while the other one doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Or one can continue to speak in tongues while the other one doesn't want to. Those are things you have to discuss in marriage.
Let's say two people they get married. They're in agreement with everything, but one of them becomes a Christian.
Okay, and if non-Christian gets married and then one of them gets saved, Paul recommend that you don't divorce.
Yeah.
You continue, as long as the other one, the non-Christian, want to stay. You, the Christian, you don't have to ask for divorce because of faith.
Yeah.
No. We don't. The Bible doesn't.
So what do we
recommend
call
divorce.
that? Do we call that are they compatible?
They are incompatible, but they have to live with that incompatibility, unfortunately. Yes. For those who are already married and you are not in the same, you don't share the same doctrines or even the same dogma. One is not a Christian, one is a Christian. The Bible says you should stay in that marriage. If the non-Christian want to go, let them go. if they don't want to stay with you because of your faith, because sometimes they will force you to renounce your faith. You can't renounce your faith because of marriage. That is the point. And that's where the danger is. That's why for Christians, those who are already Christians, be careful not to marry someone you don't share the same faith with, because it's very dangerous.
Because it seemed like, I think religion, how they call it religion or faith, has gotten a bad rap, because it's like they say they don't allow people to get married outside of the religion or
there
the
are
faith.
reasons for that.
But if you look deep down into it, there could be some bad reasons, but I think the main reason that was at the beginning was the fact that they could see what would arise in the future. Like if you guys are not in the same, you don't have the same dogma or the same
belief, the same doctrines.
The same doctrine.
In the Bible, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
In the Old Testament or even in the New Testament, unbelievers were giving sacrifices to their idols and their god and stuff like that, and they were doing some practices that were not acceptable to God. And that's why the Bible recommended that we don't marry people who don't.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, because right now, like I know when it's at the beginning of a relationship, sometimes people ignore these type of things. And then when they get married, it comes back to bite them in the long run.
Yes.
So it's good to be aware of.
Yeah, even in the New Testament, Paul says we should not do it. Like Paul is clear about that. If you're not yet married, you are looking for someone to marry, and one of you is not Christian, you are dating, please stop it. Unfortunately, that is what the Bible says.
It's better for you.
It's better for you. We're not telling you what to do. We are just telling you what Scripture says and what is better.
Yeah.
So that is the spiritual compatibility. It is quite important because it frames everything. It frames everything. Some people will say, it's not a problem. My fiancé is very tolerant, or they understand me. Fine, that's up to you. You need to know that it can come back to bite you one day.
Yeah.
Faith is quite an important part of
and usually it's at the
marriage.
beginning of a relationship. When people are at the beginning of a relationship, there's so much at stake that doesn't really, I call it's a bit fluff that's not going to handle the whole journey. And then when you get to the real stuff, that's when you need your core values. They come up in the relationship, and if you're not aware of these things, it becomes an issue. So number 3 is character and personality compatibility.
It's important because some people are organized and some people are not naturally.
And that could be not an issue at the beginning.
Yes.
But if you're not aware, that's going to come back later.
People come together because of their differences, because they say opposite attract. So people come together because they are different, and people fight because they are different. So you when you see someone who talks too much and you're a quiet person, you feel like you are attracted to that because they are different than you. And
maybe you're not attracted to them because they talk too much. You attracted to them because that talk too much, that you call talk too much, at that time you saw it as just very bubbly, very kind,
you find them.
Later it becomes talk too much.
You find them, of course. Maybe the word talk too much. Maybe talk too much is not the word I should use.
Yeah.
Someone who is very
maybe
open
extrovert.
and extrovert. Yeah. Someone who is extrovert may like someone who is introvert because they bring the opposite, and you like that. And then later you want them to start talking. No, you like them. You love them at the first place because they were quiet.
Yeah.
And later you want them to start talking. You want to change them. That is unfair. Normally we advise people not to marry someone with the intention of changing them.
That doesn't
marry
work.
someone as they are. If they change in the positive direction, praise the Lord. If they don't, you loved what you got at the first place, at the beginning. So people are different. Some people are spenders and some people are savers. You need to know these things. Whereas you are dating at the beginning, do you spend a lot or do you
Yeah.
want to save?
Yeah. And you can always, like, that's what we call maturity, because you can always work on these things.
You can.
The good thing about certain things in character,
Yes.
maybe not personality as so much, but character, I think you can work on your character.
You should accept somebody's
You
personality.
can work on your character, yeah.
But character, you should work. Okay, you can also accept somebody's character, but you need to know how much you can handle, because sometimes you ignore certain things at the beginning of a relationship. You ignore, and then later in marriage, those things you ignored come back to bite you. So do not ignore them. Address them, raise them, ask yourself, am I ready? Am I willing to live with this?
Yeah. Some things, though, some
Yes.
other things, we need to say this, like some characters
Mm-hmm.
are brought up because of life situations. So they're stirred up. They're there dormant at the beginning.
Yes.
And something happens while you're married, like something that is completely, external to the both of you. And it brings that, let's say someone's not able to work because life happens, and then
Life
it
happens.
brings the character out. So that person was
Yes.
not necessarily, they might have been like that, but because of that circumstance, it brings something that was dormant in the person.
I
So what do
agree.
you do then? Because you didn't know that. It wasn't there at the beginning to that extent.
My approach to compatibility is you will never find someone who is 100% compatible. You're trying to find someone who has the most of the things you are compatible
Yeah.
with. So if no one will ever be perfect in a particular way,
No,
we are always, we have something that we are good at, something we are not good at. If when you got married, things were good, like you checked, you thought this is his character, this is her character, and then later things change because of life circumstances, those things will always happen. So things will happen, life will happen, and you may outgrow certain things, or you may develop some new behaviors. Those things will always happen, and you need to work on them together in love. But at the beginning, before you make a decision, make sure you are you agree to live with the person as they are, or run away before it gets complicated. But later in life, if you discover that they've developed some behavior that you disagree with, that it will always happen. You
Yes,
start
it
to
will.
work on it together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
It
and
will
it-
always happen, but when you get married, before you get married, you don't know something like that will happen. Things happen.
You have
know?
you have to accept that
Yeah, so
people
I-
change.
That's
For
what.
one reason or the other.
That's
I agree with you.
maturity, because you work on those things. That's maturity. So if you're aware at the beginning,
Yes.
if you're aware at the beginning that the character and personality are, something that we need to work on, this person.
Yes.
And then later on, something happens. I think the best way to deal with it is to be willing to work on
it together.
On it together. Yes.
But I also want to raise something here, babe. Most people don't know themselves. So you don't know
True
you.
story.
Okay? You don't know you yourself.
Story, yeah.
And then when you are
Takes a
picking
long
someone,
time.
when you are picking a spouse, you are guessing what will work for you, what won't work for you. I think you need to know yourself first. You need to know
But it
what
takes
you
a
can
long time.
what you can handle and what you cannot handle.
Yeah.
And later in life, if something develops that was not there, as it start to develop, sometimes we wait long before we start addressing things. I think it's important to address things from the beginning. When you start to see your spouse changing, that's the time to start in love, trying to address, I see that you are changing. I see that you are doing this most often.
And,
Is this because of this? You start to address it.
Okay. Now, the fourth one is cultural compatibility.
Culture is the way we do things around here. Every community has a culture. Every home has a culture. Every tribe has a culture. You have a way that you grew up in your house, the thing that you were doing,
Yeah.
and the food you were eating, and the way you were talking to each other, the way your parents were exchanging, the way you siblings were exchanging. When you get married, you bring that culture with you. And often you think that is the way things should go. unless it was really abusive, so you don't want to see it. But often, culture, we come with our culture into relationships. Some people will try to impose that their children should learn only this language or only this culture, or they should. I think you should come up with a culture for your family, for your home, for your home. You and I, we are both from Africa, but we are not from the same culture. When we met, we started to discuss what are we going to collect from your culture, what are we going to collect from my culture. The best from your culture, the best from my culture, we brought them together to make the culture of our home.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things in my culture we did not like, and we just said we are not doing that. There are things in your culture we did not like, and we decided, no, we are not doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So culture is the way you do things around. The food you eat, the way you talk, the way things happen, the way you raise your children. I believe it's important. Even values fall under this. What do you value? Even political views. All those things need to be discussed as part of values and the things that you can compromise or accept, the things that you can't accept. Social issues. Where do you sit on social issues? There are many social issues that divide people.
Especially now.
Race, abortion, climate change, all those. What is your view on those things? I'm not saying you should divorce because of those things, or
you should talk about. You should be
talk
aware of them.
about these things, so you just know where you stand on these things. I'm not advocating for people not to get married because of these things.
No. We're saying it's good to be aware that this is important. It will come back later.
And agree how you're going to work together through those things. You can have strong views on certain cultural issue or social issues, but when you come to marriage, you need to agree how you're going to live together, because there are more important things in marriage than just culture. But you should not ignore culture, because culture frames how you do things.
Do you know you can be from the same country, completely the same country? Like you can be both from Australia, but you have different cultures because of the way you were raised.
Yes.
Yeah.
The family
and sometimes
culture.
when you come...
Or the town you grew up in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes when you come together in those circumstances, you don't even know that you have different cultures, because you think, well, we're from Australia, we do it the same thing. And then you realize, there's something that you do differently.
Yes.
It's not how I did it.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
Being compatible means what you do, what you like about each other, you celebrate. What you disagree about each other, you need to be able to be patient with each other or agree to disagree and just live with it.
Okay. The fifth one is love compatibility.
Yes. Love compatibility is now a reciprocity in love. Maybe we should define love. How do we gauge love? Sacrifice. We often confuse love and attraction. The first compatibility is physical compatibility. So that is the attraction, the physical attraction. Do you feel attracted to the person? Love is different. How much this person is willing to sacrifice for me. So you look at all those compatibilities, and at the end, you need now to ask yourself, okay, yes, we are spiritually compatible. Yes, we are physically compatible. Yes, we are culturally compatible. Yes, we are personalities, it clicks. How much are they willing to sacrifice for me? How far can they go for me? That is, how much price are they willing to pay for me? That is the definition of love.
Yeah.
And you should feel the same. It's easier to love than to be loved, we say. That is the French saying, I think.
You just translated it.
I just translated it in English. It's easier to love than to be loved. It's true. You can love someone, you can like someone, you can pay the price for someone. If they're not investing back, that's a red flag. Don't go there. Don't commit. And if you are already married and you are the only one investing, then that is a conversation to have. You need help. You need help. Or maybe you are...
Could it be...
Maybe you don't just see what they are doing. Maybe they are doing, but you are also selfish. You can't see what they are doing. You are you are not
maybe.
appreciating their contribution.
I was gonna say, could it be like unrealistic expectations?
Yes, sometimes. Yes,
that could be that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's for another day.
Love compatibility is when you love someone and you can see they love you back. You invest, they invest.
It's not
Not a competition.
It's not a competition, but it's something, you know, when someone loves you.
You do.
It's not you can't be like, how much is this? If you put 10,000, I'll put 6,000.
No, that is not
I think
love.
it's just know if this person really loves you.
True love really doesn't count how much you are giving.
Yeah.
But true love can see how much you are receiving. So I may not be paying attention to how much I'm doing for you, but I have to be aware of what you're doing for me, because that will build gratitude in me. That is love. So you have to be able to sacrifice for the person, and the person has to be able to sacrifice for you. That's how you gauge love. And that's the final compatibility. If you are compatible in this space, everybody's willing to pay the price for the other. That means you can work on everything from the top. Everything from the top is possible if the love compatibility is real. Because if I really love you, there is no character I can't work on, you know, or I can at least admit that I have this problem. Help me. Because I love you, there are things I will try to work on myself. And I'm not talking about personality. I can't change who I am. But my habit, I can try to change as much as I can for you, because I love you.
So among all these 5, which one do you think is more consequential than the other?
I would say that all these 5 are the most consequential among other compatibilities, because there are other compatibilities out there. For example, interest compatibility. You love soccer, I love soccer, for example. That is a compatibility if we love the same, we like the same kind of interest.
Yeah.
You love music, I love music, or you love cartoons, I love cartoons. That is a compatibility. That is not consequential, you know, but it's necessary in life, maybe, to marry someone who has the same interest than you. And most people marry people who share the same interest with them, just to realize often they don't share the same values, and marriages will break because you should marry someone with values compatibility, not interest compatibility.
Yeah.
And that's what we are talking about today.
Yeah.
These 5 areas will fall under values. These are values. Your faith is value. Your culture value. Those are values.
Yeah. So in the 5 though,
okay,
the first one, no, I'm talking about the first
this
one.
This
the physical compatibility is not a deal breaker, because you're not going to stay the same person for the next 50 years. So if you get married, let's say at 23, at 63, you're not going to look the same.
But you're still the same all these years.
That's not a deal breaker.
No.
I think it's important. It's important to make sure you are attracted to the person. But that shouldn't be the main thing. The main thing, I think personally, should be the spiritual compatibility to me.
Yes,
to me,
I think
that comes first.
Yeah, I agree.
That comes first, because that is it's just powerful, you know. And then if you want to tell me the second one to me, I think the character compatibility, and then culture, and then I would say physical comes at the last one.
Faith starts, then you said the second one, character. The third one,
or let's say
faith, then
love,
character,
culture, physical,
and then physical.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, maybe I need to make one point clear. You will never find someone who is 100% compatible with you. That person never exists. That person never they don't exist. So don't stop looking for a 100% compatible person, but you are trying to find someone who is the most compatible with you. The person who is the most compatible spiritually, the most compatible culturally, or things like that. That's what you're trying to find. You're not trying necessarily to find someone who will be 100%.
Thank you so much for stopping by our YouTube channel. If you got something out of it, share it with somebody, like, and subscribe.
Let us know where you are watching from so we can pray for you. Hope to see you back here soon. Bye.
Bye.